Welcome to BSC3096, Human Physiology. I'm the course instructor, Andrew Hill. I have a PhD in neuroscience. My office is in Bartram Hall, room 123. Office hours are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. I can also meet outside these hours, office hours. Just contact me. My office phone number and cell phone number are given here in the PowerPoint. We can also do face-to-face meetings by appointment using Zoom. If you have questions that are not specific to you, for example, a general course question, you should post those at the course questions discussion board. The best way to contact me is through Canvas email. You can also contact me through my UF email, but I'll respond quicker to the Canvas email system because it's just easier to keep track of emails that are related to this course. The graduate TA is Mitch Walters. Points are earned from Mastering A&P, Canvas quizzes, Just Physiology, and research reports. So the breakdown is here. Mastering A&P is a homework system that's worth 15%. Canvas quizzes are worth 10%. Simulation physiology questions are worth 15%. The software is called Just Physiology. Simulation research report, which will be done using Just Physiology, and another software called Peerceptive, which will allow you to do peer reviews, is 15%. Midterm exams are both worth 15% each for a total of 30%, and the final exam is 15%. The midterm is on Friday, June 7th. Second midterm is on Friday, July 12th, and the final exam is on Friday, August 9th. Each exam will have about 40 multiple choice questions. Where does the exam material come from? First of all, the textbook has most of the material we'll be covering in this class. So you'll be reading the textbook. For each chapter, there are learning objectives. If you go into Canvas and you click on modules, you can then click on objectives to see the learning objectives for each chapter. I've also given the sections of text you should read under readings, as well as the figures you should pay attention to under readings. There are questions you should do on your own. There's concept interspersed within the text. You have concept check questions. Those are very good. There's also figure questions and graph questions. And at the end of each chapter, there are review questions. So all of those you should just do on your own. The answers to all of those are given in Appendix A in the textbook. In the textbook, click on Back Matter to see Appendix A. And for the review questions, you should look at the very end of each chapter. Where does the exam material come from? There's also Mastering A&P homework questions. So these are questions that I picked very carefully to encompass the important concepts for each chapter. There's also PowerPoint questions, PowerPoint presentations, which I'll generate, and those will often have questions within them, which you can pay attention to. Now, one note about the PowerPoint is that it's not really possible if we cover absolutely everything that's in each chapter. I'll try and cover the most important things and also the things that the students have the most difficulty with. But for that reason, you should supplement the PowerPoint presentations with the reading. I mean, you should definitely do the reading. And as you do the reading, you'll have corresponding with the reading, you'll have the homework questions, the Mastering A&P homework questions. There's also Canvas quiz questions, so those will also be helpful for helping you prepare for the exam. Finally, you'll also have Just Physiology case study questions. So as you do Just Physiology, these will be simulations. You'll have simulations going on in one window essentially on your computer, and another window you have a Canvas quiz. And as you go through the Canvas quiz, you'll answer these questions, and you'll have the ability to go back and look at your answer and the correct answer in the Canvas quiz. So you can use that also as material to study for exams. Finally, I'll also give a list of equations to know for each exam. You're not allowed to actually have this equation sheet during the exams, but you'll have enough practice by doing problems and problem sets and so forth that you shouldn't have any trouble knowing these equations. Tips for doing well: read the textbook and watch any video links in the chapters. Review the chapter learning objectives, as I said earlier, prior to reading each chapter. Study both independently and with others. I realize this is an online class, so studying with others is a little more difficult. However, you can do things like use the discussion board, post questions there, answer people's questions. You're quite free in terms of what you're allowed to do on the discussion board. You could also set up times to, say, Skype or meet with other students independently. What else? Work on understanding the concepts behind the Mastering A&P questions, the Canvas quiz questions, and the Just Physiology questions. So as you do these questions, this will introduce you to the types of questions and concepts that will be on the exams. Review these questions and try to anticipate different versions of these questions that might show up on exams. Set aside dedicated time to study for the class every week, preferably every day. Don't get behind. There's a lot of material to cover in this class, and it moves pretty quickly. So particularly in a summer class, it's so important to stay on schedule. Also, in physiology, there are a lot of figures and graphs, so you really want to pay attention to those. What are the axes? What are the variables? What's the main point of each figure or graph? So you should, over the course of this course, become more and more familiar with reading graphs and get better and better at that. Tips for doing well: there's a large amount of material to be covered. Exams are based on the concepts and material of the homework questions, the Just Physiology simulation questions. Work on these questions as we progress. Compare your answers to those of other students. Ask me, Dr. Hill, as well as the graduate TA for guidance. You can do that, again, best through the discussion board. You can answer and share answers and uncertainties with other students on the discussion boards. Again, participate in discussion boards and chats. There are many other students to class trying to learn the same material. Post and answer general questions and comments related to the material you read and homework questions. Use the discussion board to ask and answer questions about study questions as you prepare for the exams. The graduate TA and the instructor, me, will monitor and direct the discussions as necessary. These are read by all students and instructors, so make sure your comments are appropriate and respectful. This is likely to be one of the most conceptually difficult courses you'll take. But it's also potentially very stimulating and rewarding. So one thing you'll learn about physiology is that you'll have to build on things that you've learned in other classes. So you will have learned some math and algebra class. You'll have learned some basic physics in high school. You'll have had some basic chemistry. You may or may not have had biochemistry and cell biology at this point, but you'll be able to apply many of the concepts and ideas from those classes to this class. You'll also be asked to interpret graphs, calculate quantitative physiological variables, and integrate multiple physiological systems to understand and predict outcomes. So this last thing we'll spend a bit of time on as we go in through this class. We're going to look at the various organ systems, and one thing about physiology that's quite challenging is you're going to have to understand how the different organ systems work together for some common goal. So this course requires that you will learn incrementally, building on concepts as you learn them. My best advice is to give you is to stay current on the notes, study the questions, reading and synthesis of material. You can visit me during office hours. I'm happy to answer any questions. If you can't come, just please call me during the office hours. We can also set up Zoom video conferencing potentially at various times during the week. Okay, things to do in the immediate short term. You want to opt in to Mastering A&P through Canvas. The price is about $140, or at least it was in the spring. I'm not sure what it is now. With that, you get the e-text, Human Physiology Integrated Approach by D. Silverthorne, and Mastering A&P homework. Do the syllabus quiz under course orientation in Canvas. Read chapters 1 and 2 immediately. We'll be going right on to chapters 3 and 4, so I've made I'll make that information for those chapters available very soon. Do Mastering A&P homework for these 2 chapters. Do Canvas quizzes for these 2 chapters. Again, I'll post the quizzes for chapters 1 and 2 right away. Consider getting the loose leaf print version of the textbook. Last time I checked, there weren't any, but I'll check again and see if they've come in. What I found is that students, particularly if you're traveling, they complain that they don't have good internet connection. That it makes it very difficult. So at least having the textbook, print version of textbook helps you with that. And then when you do get to a place where you have a good internet connection, you can do the homework and so forth. I'm going to set up a Just Physiology account for each student next week. The cost is $15. So for now, don't do anything about that. Eventually, you're going to need a Perceptive account. You can see the syllabus for details. The cost is $12.50. So for now, don't do anything. But eventually, you're going to I've set up a class already. It's called BSC3096 Human Physiology, and the course code is SO90. So eventually, we'll need that. Okay, so things to remember. Please use the Canvas email to communicate with me. That's the best way to communicate with me, better than my UF email address. And then use the course questions discussion board for general questions about the course and things like that. And then again, with the discussion board, set up chapter by chapter different subject headings, but you have permission to set up your own subject headings and things like that. So please use the discussion board. Okay, that's it for the intro to this class. Thank you very much.